Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Inauguration Day, TikTok Day. It's a big day.
It's a Monday.
It is still a Monday. Boy, you are so right about that. Yeah, I kind of liked it better when the inauguration was going on midweek or even on the weekend. It feels like a Monday.
I liked it better when the Lions were still in the playoffs.
All right, enough of that. Enough of that. We don't need to open old wounds.
Still depressed.
So the 47th president of the United States, sworn into office, says he's got a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal in all of these many betrayals that have taken place and to give the people back their faith, their wealth, their democracy, and indeed their freedom. That's what he said in his inauguration speech earlier today. It is awkward, is it not, that you have someone who's coming in and they're giving their speech and they're trashing the guy who's sitting right there. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, Biden is sitting, and obviously Kamala Harris is there too, and she
in the
lost.
Same camera shot.
Same camera shot. It's not a debate, and there's no chance for rebuttal. It's just, hey, everyone, the devil is right here. Look how horrible this guy is. Hey, everybody, poke and laugh at him. It is a weird thing that we have going on.
Now, I don't recall it necessarily being that way. Now, when Biden was sworn in, Trump wasn't even there, right?
No, he was not leading a march.
But when...
Oh, no, that was the 6th. That was later. That was before, yeah.
But
no, Biden didn't... Trump didn't go.
But previous presidents, do you feel like they took so many subtle shots? I feel like it's a newer phenomenon, too.
They did take shots.
Did they?
But they weren't they were a little more veiled.
Okay.
Right? So, and I don't remember the exact phraseology, but Obama might have said something like, we're going to... it's time to end these endless wars, which of course he didn't. It's time to do this and that and that and this, which are all things that were under Bush's, purview.
I feel like it's less.
But now it's like,
now.
Right, it's not veiled at all. It's like the many betrayals that have taken place. You've lost your wealth. You've lost your faith. You've lost your democracy. You've lost your freedom. It's this guy, everybody. This guy did it to you. It is bizarre. Joining us right now is Steve Roberts. He's our ABC News political analyst. Steve, does this inauguration stand out in any way, shape, or form above others? Joe and I were just hacking that we thought some of the shots at the former guy seemed less veiled than in previous years.
I was kind of shocked, not in one way. I mean, this was vintage Donald Trump. Anybody who expects Donald Trump at age 76 years old to somehow have a personality transplant because he's going to be president again doesn't understand him. He's been a successful politician because he has a set of ideas that have been very powerful and very attractive to a lot of voters. But he mouths his words like unity, but he doesn't mean it. To the extent that he wants people to unify, he wants them all to agree with him. But when he sits there and with just a few feet from Joe Biden talking about radical corrupt establishment and the horrible betrayal of the previous administration, this tells you that talk about unity is skin deep. This is not the real Donald Trump. The real Donald Trump has always wallowed in grievance, has always painted a much darker picture. We remember inaugurals that have painted very optimistic pictures of America, whether it's Jack Kennedy or Ronald Reagan. This was in many ways a much darker picture, but it was vintage. It was vintage Trump, no doubt about it.
ABC News political analyst Steve Roberts joins us from Washington, D.C. Steve, presidents lay out oftentimes their goals, and they take 10 plus years to accomplish, requiring not just a second term, but a successor, oftentimes after the second term, who would have the same kind of interest as what that president had. Trump's got 4 years now. How's he going to look to accomplish this ambitious agenda that he's laying out?
Actually, in many ways, he doesn't have 4 years. He has about 18 months because the midterm, first of all, he's a lame duck. So it's not as if he can plan for over 8 years. But it's more than that. It's not just he can't plan. Politicians know that his ability to reward and punish his enemies are limited by time frame. And by the mid-year elections, in 18 months, a lot of members of Congress will be distracted by campaigning. But also, let's remember that history shows that almost, not always, but almost always, the incumbent party loses seats in the midterm election. Mm-hmm. The Republican margin in the House is only 1 or 2 seats at the moment. Therefore, Trump kind of knows that for the second term, he's almost certain to face a House that's in Democratic hands. So that's one of the reasons why you've seen such a flurry of executive actions today. He knows his time to have an impact is limited. He knows that Republican margins in the Congress are very, very small. And it's entirely possible Democrats in the Senate can block a lot of his legislative initiatives. And even dissident Republicans, just a handful, as we've seen in the last few years, can really gum up the works in the House. So it's one of the reasons why you saw and we'll see this week, so many executive actions, because this is by far his most effective tool of governing.
ABC News political analyst in D.C., Steve Roberts, is joining us right now. Steve, what is the top priority for the core supporters for President Trump? Is it that policy that he talks about, or is it being punitive toward the horrible betrayals that have taken place? Which is it that would make them happier?
It's a good question. I'm not sure I can answer it very well. The punitive, any kind of punitive action against Trump's enemies would be satisfying emotionally, but it doesn't affect people's lives very much. The issue that really, in the end, was most critical in helping Trump become president was inflation, and that was because it affected every American every day. I've said for the last year, the 2 most important words in this election were true on day one, they were true on day last, and those words were gas and groceries. Mm-hmm. And so if Trump's going to make a real difference to his supporters, practically as opposed to emotionally, he's going to try to get a handle on inflation. And second is the issue of immigration. But, inflation is always the most powerful political issue because it affects folks in Phoenix and every other American city every day. And if he's going to be smart about it, he's going to make the economy his first priority.
Steve, what's your sense that Trump wants his legacy to be? Is it economy? Is it immigration? You mentioned inflation, and obviously immigration we know is a huge priority of his.
I think one of the most important words to understand about Donald Trump, and he used them at least 3 or 4 times today, and that word is win. I think that it almost in some ways doesn't matter to Donald Trump what issues he wins on. He's never been someone who deeply immersed in policy. What he motivates him is to win elections and defeat his enemies, no matter what the issue is. And I think in his heart, the idea that burns most brightly for Donald Trump is a sense of, I'm a winner, I'm a star. And today he sort of hedged that whole idea by adding the notion a star and a winner chosen by God. He very explicitly invoked the notion that it was divine interference that helped him survive the shooting in Pennsylvania over the summer. And a lot of this just has to do with sort of a personal aura as opposed to any detailed list of particular issues on which he wins.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your observations with us from Inauguration Day today. Steve Roberts from Washington, D.C., ABC News political analyst. Thank you so much, Steve.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.